Hey everybody, wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. This week's interview is with the magnificent Mr. Caleb Wilson. We actually did this interview before Christmas, but I've only just got around to editing it. I've incorporated a lot of footage of Caleb's YouTube channel. His channel contains a lot of educational bass lessons, which I highly recommend you going and checking out.
You never know what's going to get recommissioned or what's going to get thrown in. Like, I could go from one project a year to 5 projects a year to potentially more, or one extended project. Usually the projects will have me booked up for about a whole week to a month, somewhere in between. The Christmas show is its own thing, and Yolanda's is her own thing as well. They're two very different projects. Each carry their different energy, but I love both of them. In terms of part specific, I think it's a case of learn what's been sent. It's kind of getting into the head of your MD who's written it. Sometimes there'll be parts where they'll be like, no, I definitely want it like this, like play it to this length, and you can get really specific in terms of like note length and how it's played. But then at other times there will be the space to open up, and he will be like open up here a bit. So then it's kind of having something in your arsenal and understanding the context of the music. I'm not a slap bass player. I have a bit of it, but it's not my thing. But it's when to know when actually that's needed. Like when you're doing like 70s, 80s stuff, that's often where a bit of that can come out to play. But then there's going to be other times where that's absolutely the complete wrong thing to do. There's one song in this Christmas show coming up, literally for the whole pre-chorus I'm playing one note, 8th notes with a particular stop in it each time, and it was like nailing the stop and coming back in. That was what was getting the MD, was getting Chris loving it. For the Christmas show, what's challenging is that we'll have about 6 or 7 versions of the same song. So like short versions, this part's doing this part with a different ending, and then matching that up to cues. You may have 6 or 7 songs in the entire show, but there's interludes that are different versions of that song. Live is a lot more natural for me. It's kind of more where I kind of started. So TV stuff, it's a case of you'll be talking 1 minute and then you get the call for we're filming, so you have to be able to switch on that energy. You have to be able to be actively listening, where you may not be doing anything, you know, they're filming, but you may not be doing anything for like half an hour, and then it's like your part there, so you got to like not mess up, because if we're trying to film so many different scenes, it's like you got to be on point for when your call is the call to play. It's like one challenge with the kind of media and TV side is things change quickly. Like you can rehearse all you want, have your rehearsals, and then you'll turn up on set, and 5 minutes before you're about to do the recorded take, it's like, okay, we need to cut 2 bars out here or change this ending to that. So you have to, regardless of everything you've practiced, then take that in and be able to change it up. Just because you can play it at home in your room doesn't mean that when you get to the audition or actual gig, sometimes doesn't mean that when that pressure comes in and when you are actually playing live and everything's a bit different, maybe the sound's different, maybe there's a cue you were listening to in the track that is no longer there when you play it live in a smaller setup, you know, can you still remember your parts like that? Best advice will be to remember that the actual playing is only half of the job. Like for me, the biggest benefit I've had is actually befriending the people around me, and that's not just the musicians. I think one of the best things you can do is, if you're a bassist, you know, talk to the other musicians, but talk to the tour manager, talk to the venue staff, talk to the producers of the show, the lighting directors, like whatever you're doing. If they're working in that space, they've got contacts and they hear about what's going on. One of the like kind of more head up people in the CBeebies department I'd met before whilst filming the Christmas show the first time, and I didn't know who it was. I was just being nice, you know, talking, what have you. It turns out it's one of the like head people in the show, in the departments. So that obviously worked in my favor, and it's just being a nice person, you know. Strong socials is definitely a big advantage, like focusing on being present on social media, you know. And the social media platforms are going to change at some point. Right now for me it's Instagram is where it's kind of popping off for me, and then kind of looking to build my business through YouTube. But it is just about having those links covered so that when people search you, that you come up. This is the thing as well, it gets difficult sometimes. It's very easy to go on Instagram and see all your music mates doing this, doing that, and if you're in a place, because it ebbs and flows, and if you're in a place where there's not a lot booked in at that moment in time, it can be very easy to go on Instagram, look what's going on and be like, right, everyone's working and they're doing this, they're doing that, but it's not the case. It's not the case. No, everyone only posts highlights. So listen, everyone's grafting for their work in some way, shape or form.